Pathfinder pals. If you haven't tried Pathfinder 2e yet, you might be wondering, how is Pathfinder's combat different from 5e? After all, encounters are a huge pillar of both game systems. Well, today I have a couple key differences that I personally really like, so let's get into it. First, Pathfinder has a 3-action economy. What does that basically mean? Well, on your turn, you receive 3 actions to do whatever you would like. This is a bit different from 5e's system of a movement, your action, and your bonus action. In Pathfinder, all of these are interchangeable. So in 5e, when a player goes, "Can I use my bonus action to perform this action?" Well, Pathfinder 2e will just let you say, yes, you can fill your action with whatever you would like. Actions are actions, and every player will have at least 3 actions on their turn, sometimes more if they have a cool ability like the Monk's Flurry of Blows, which will allow you to make 2 attacks for the cost of 1 action. Not a bad bargain in my opinion. And some abilities and spells will allow you to make them more powerful by adding an additional action to them. And yes, alright, in Pathfinder, moving does cost 1 action point. But there's one simple hack. You can delay your turn. Want to make the monster come at you instead of you charging at it? Just delay your turn. That way, the monster will spend its actions moving to you, and then you get to spend your actions just clobbering away at it. And this opens up a whole new way to coordinate with your allies. If your party bard would go after you in the turn order, you can delay your turn to make sure your bard gets to go first. That way you get all those tasty, tasty bard buffs. And speaking of movement, people move around a lot more in Pathfinder 2e, mostly because not every creature gets an opportunity attack. This means combat isn't locked down to one spot anymore, and movement is less taxing since you're not going to be bopped for it every single time you do. Also, in Pathfinder, we just call it reactive strike because it's a strike that you're reacting with. You do what it say you do. But for the fighters and the other classes who do get reactive strike, it's crazy good now. And it's not just movement anymore. It can trigger on things like drinking potions, casting spells, or even using ranged weapons. And if you crit on your reactive strike, you can stop them from doing what your opponent was trying to do initially. That's right, crits in this game don't just do double damage, they add additional effects. This means fighters are the strongest counters to mages in-game. Mages usually have pretty low ACs, and fighters are very likely to be able to crit to stop them having a spell going off, which leads me to the next coolest thing about Pathfinder. Anytime you roll 10 over what you needed to, it's a crit. That's attacks, saves, skill checks. Literally anytime a d20 is rolled, and you beat the number by 10. That means in Pathfinder, crits are far more common. Let's say your fighter needs to roll an 8 to hit. That means he's critting on an 18. Your rogue needs a 6 to unlock a door, critting on a 16. Your enemy needed a 16 to pass a save, but rolled a 5. Well, that is a critical fail. That's right. Crit fails exist too. And not the lame, haha, you drop your weapon and it cuts off your foot type of shenanigan with random effect charts, but actually fun and balanced ones. For example, if somebody crit fails their save, a light-based spell, well, it might blind them for a round in addition to doubling damage. Crit failing a check to unlock a door might break your pick, but you generally have extra ones lying around. Everything will tell you what happens on a crit fail. It's not your DM just randomly assigning an effect every time they roll a 1. It might be the best thing about Pathfinder. It's so much easier to DM in Pathfinder 2e. And don't get me wrong, if you've been running 5e for years now, you're probably really good at filling in the blanks. You can probably homebrew on the fly. For example, skills kind of disappear once combat begins in 5e. 5e doesn't have rules for intimidating folks mid-combat, but you can definitely homebrew it. 5e also doesn't have a way for people to use deception mid-combat to perhaps distract a foe, but a fun DM might make a house rule for that. Players invest in these skills, and 5e really should allow you to use them during encounters. And a skill 5e DM will definitely make that happen. After all, 5e DMs usually love the rule of cool, and so do I. But in Pathfinder 2e, all of the examples that I've given already are already part of the game. It's not rule of cool versus rules as written. In Pathfinder 2e, the rules as written are cool. And the DM doesn't have to improvise a bunch of stuff just to make the game fun. This means less pausing the game to decide how something should work, less immersion breaking as you begin to talk about game mechanics, and less table arguments about if a particular ruling is fair. You, as the DM, don't have to design the game as you're playing it. Instead, you can focus on the story and your party, not the game itself. And that's my favorite part about Pathfinder 2e. It's fun for the DM, too. This is my first video, but trust me, there's a lot that I have to say about Pathfinder. So subscribe if you want to be Pathfinder pals. Thanks for watching. See you soon.